The project is about uniting people that were born here and those that have come to live here.
And of course we set out with so many outcomes, but we've gone over and above, we've exceeded, because the public interest in the project and what it means to local people has gone bonkers, really.
The first public event was the Wake, organised at the Turntable Gallery, which was a chance for the public to see the broken statue and to talk about their memories.
I was based at Doughty Road probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and I got wind that the statue was stored at Doughty Road. So obviously it's something that's always interested me, Grim. I can remember seeing it as a child, a scatter roundabout at Nuns Corner there. So I went to investigate, saw it in the sorry state that it's in now, but actually I felt we've got to do something with this. It was sad to see it kind of in such a state of disrepair and just neglected in this kind of store shed. So I linked up with Jill and Tracy from the Equality Practice and said, what can we do here? So what we attempted to do was pull together a project, and what we did was we had the statue moved from Doughty Road. I'd got the appropriate permissions from within the council to move it. Moved it to the Grimsby Institute, and the idea was we was going to do a joint project with Grimsby Institute, the Equality Practice and some other people to get the students to restore the statue and then obviously think about where we could locate it.
I was born the same year Grim was erected, and all I can remember from a child is driving past the college roundabout and Grim was just there all the time.
Well, it's always been a fantastic symbol in the town. I remember going on the bus past it, and it was outside the college, and it always stood out as being something that linked the town and its people to its heritage. And so it was a real shame when it had to be taken down because it was damaged. So it's really wonderful to see that it's been found again, and hopefully we'll see it restored and put somewhere really prominent so it can remind us of that legacy and those links back to our founding.
And I think I took the photographs about 97, 98, because you can see on Grim's face, you can see his face was painted with white stripes when Grimsby was going through one of its playoffs at the time.
I think you ignore your history at your peril, and I think often people don't appreciate what they've got because they don't know about it, and so they don't put the importance on things, and then people are interested in it and things fall into decay. But if they actually knew what they had and its importance, it might kind of help protect things a bit more.
Until he's actually stood up, nobody realises how high the statue really is. Everybody's driven past it, not realised he's only made out of fiberglass and concrete, and obviously thought he was made out of bronze or another material. But when you actually start working on him, you realise how fragile he really was.
I think it was around 1982 when his bits were stolen. I was obviously only 12 at the time, so I have to say I did find that rather amusing at the time.
And the college used to try and save it and try to stick it back on, and it never quite managed. So there was a head of estates, a gentleman called Colin Bagley, used to have Grim's Willie in the top drawer of his desk in the estates office. So that's just, and again it just links back to centuries of people either liking or not liking naked statues and wanting to deface them, and again how that mixes up culturally. Grimsby actually is no different to anywhere else in the world, the human condition, I hope maybe we can get him back fully intact with his arms, legs, Havelock's head and everything, because he is important.
While the statue was moved into storage to enable assessment for its repair, the wider project continued with many other activities.
Unbelievably, in Queen Elizabeth I's time, actually our legend of Grim was bigger than Robin Hood, which is absolutely amazing to know that. And so, nowadays, a lot of younger children don't even know the story. They don't know the statue, they haven't seen it. And so we really wanted to involve children. We created a book, we had an illustrator.
I have to be honest, I was absolutely terrified when they first asked me to do it, because Obviously, like, Grimm is really important to the history and heritage of Grimsby, and it felt like a really big responsibility. I'd watched a documentary about the Bayeux Tapestry around that time, and it was fascinating because they'd done like a recreation of a part of the Bayeux Tapestry using the original dyes that would have been around at the time. And then something clicked in my brain about illustrating the book, about using the Bayeux Tapestry as kind of inspiration for it. So that kind of gave me the idea for the structure of the illustrations and also the colours. So I stuck with kind of an ochre, like a yellow ochre, a brown, a blue, a green. So I'd kind of tried to stick with the colours that I'd learned about that had been used for these dyes. And then in the September, after I'd done the illustrations, I went to the Viking Festival and spoke to some of the reenactors, and there was a lady there who was talking about dyes, and she kind of backed up what I'd said, but yeah, that was quite good. So as well as illustrating the book, I was asked to go into 10 schools to deliver work around Grimm, and I'm being keen to point out that, you know, Grimm gets its name because it's got Viking ancestry, not because it's Grimm where we live. I think part of what I was trying to do was make people feel a bit proud about their heritage, I think, or even just be a bit curious about this. This was obviously the Danelaw, so it was very Viking, so I was trying to explain about a lot of the wider place names around here. And yeah, and then they were able to do some free drawing afterwards. So I would read them a passage from the book, which was about when Grimm and his family leave Denmark and come over to Grimsby. And it was also about trying to get them to understand about what it must have been like. And obviously there are contemporary relevances for this, what it must have been like to get in a boat with your family, not really knowing where you're going and just going across the sea.
Throughout the project, the public have been continually consulted about their memories of the old statue and the potential for a new one, celebrating the founding of the town by a Danish migrant. As part of the project, Hammond House organised a worldwide competition to write origin stories, with the winning story being published. In the summer, a team of volunteers attended Grimfalfest, where they carried out more interviews and joined in with the day of celebration for the founding father and the legends surrounding him. A local musician, Isa Moon, created a soundtrack as part of the project.
Yeah, I was really touched actually to be asked, because it's not something I've done before. I've usually created songs out of my own inspiration or imagination, so to have an actual story to work with and to have to create something that was specific with a specific purpose was a real challenge, but I've loved it. Well, the instrument I wanted to use immediately was my my harp. It's actually a very old Senegalese instrument, but it looks like a Viking ship, and everybody always says it looks like a Viking ship, so I knew immediately I wanted to use that instrument. But it's also got a very raw and kind of old-fashioned quality to it, because it's so simple that felt right for the song. But then I wanted to also bring in some different sound effects of the sea and things like that, and the seagulls at the end, you know, to try and give it that more dramatic sort of effect.
While all this great work was going on, sadly one of the project partners refused to meet the project demands, and the funding for the statue restoration was withdrawn. The project continued without the statue, and preparation began for a full exhibition at the Grimsby Heritage Centre. The winning school children's entries were displayed alongside local artists' work, inspired by the project. Migration stories and large prints of the new illustrated children's book were shown on the top floor. The lower gallery housed clothing, displays, information boards, along with ancient Viking finds and relevant historical items from local museum collections. The foyer housed one of the famous magical stones from the legend. The opening night was a huge success, attended by over 200 people, including civic dignitaries and many people who had had a hand in the wider project, including one lady from the Caribbean.
I actually wrote a story on my origins for the competition, which was the origin competition, and just sent it in. Also in Trinidad, we have a lot of fishing villages too, with same kind of stuff like stories, you know, about the origins of the people. So it kind of like, you know, it's two different worlds, but it also has some similarities, you know, within it.
The local Viking reenactment group attended and really brought the legend to life.
I think we're bringing back the Vikings to town, and a lot of people are getting on board with it, and we've got lots of new guys coming and joining the group, and we're having a whale of a time. We've got this exhibition which is obviously very important to the town and the townspeople, and it's a really proud thing to be asked to do it.
While the exhibition was open to the public, a crowdfunder was begun. And then local businessman and fiberglass expert Will Hennessy stepped in to repair the statue. His kind and generous offer enabling the statue to be fully restored and added to the exhibition. Tim Wayne Hobson, son of the original sculptor Douglas Wayne Hobson, attended the official unveiling of the now repaired statue.
Well, I think the old man will be really chuffed that the people of Grimsby seem to have taken the statue to their hearts, and there's been such a lot of effort and work gone in to reconstruct the statue and bring it back to life, so to speak. As far as I can see, it's very much as it was and as I remember my father creating it.
And a final good news twist to the tale, the Freemen of Grimsby have offered to give the statue a final resting place inside the Freeman Street Market. The project really has been a celebration of diversity and inclusion, introducing more people to the legend and hopefully helping many more to feel good and proud about the town of Grimsby.